So this is just the same thing we're doing on page 30. They want us to use the quadratic formula to solve these equations. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Right, that's my quadratic formula. Then to be able to use this formula, I've got to write this equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to move the 3x over 4 and the 11, I'm going to transpose them over to the left side of the equal sign. I'm going to do that by subtracting 11 from both sides. What I get is x squared minus 2 minus 11. And I'm going to do that by adding 3x to both sides, 3x over 4 to both sides. So I get positive 3x over 4 equals 0. Now I'm going to write it in the correct order. The 3x should be before the negative 11. So what I get is x squared over 2 plus 3x over 4 minus 11 equals 0. Okay. Now still, to be able to use the quadratic formula, I can't have a fraction in my equation. So I'm going to get rid of my fraction by finding the common denominator and then multiplying all the terms by the common denominator. Well, the common denominator here is 4 because 2 is a factor of 4. So I'll multiply everything by 4, every term by 4. And what I get is the 2 and the 4 cancel out, and I have 2 up here. 2 times x is 2x squared. And then I put a 4 here, and the 4 times 3x over 4 cancel, the 4's cancel out, and what I have left is just 3x. And then I put a 4 here, and 4 times 11 is a negative 44, and then 4 times 0 equals 0. Now I've got my equation looking like this. Okay. Now I'm going to use my now I could use my quadratic formula. So a equals 2, right? And b equals 3 and c equals negative 44. So wherever I see a b, I'm going to write 3. So I have in the formula, the first b is negative b. So it's going to be a negative 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And b squared is 3, so I'm going to do 3 squared. And times 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is a negative 44, over 2a. And a is 2, so over 2 times 2. Now I get negative 3 plus or minus 9, because 3 times 3 is 9, minus 4 times 2. Minus 4 times 2 is a minus 8, and a minus 8 times a minus 44 is 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 4 is 32, 33, 34, 35. 352. So it's a positive 352 because negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8, and negative 8 times a negative 44 is a positive 352. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. Now I'm going to add the 9 and the 352. So I get a negative 3 plus or minus 352 plus 9 plus 352 is 361 over 4. And the square root of 361 is 19. 3 plus or minus 19 over 4. So x equals, x equals, x equals, x equals. Now I'm going to do the positive 19 first. So x equals minus 3 plus 19, which equals 16 over 4. X equals 16 over 4. X equals 4. So my first answer is x equals 4. Now I'm going to do a negative 19. So I get x equals negative 3 minus 19 over 4. X equals negative 22 over 4, because 3 plus 19 is 22. And x equals, 4 goes into 22 5 times. And our remainder is 2 over 4. So then we reduce the 2 over 4. So x equals 5 and 1/2. That's my two answers. X equals 4 and x equals negative. Whoops, sorry. Negative, because the 22 is negative. Negative 5 and 1/2. The next one is pretty easy because all I've got to do is transpose the 3 over here. I'm still using the quadratic formula. See, I subtracted 3 from both sides, so that's how I got this negative 3 here. I should already know my quadratic formula from memory. I know that x equals negative b, and b is negative 2, so a negative times a negative is a positive 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared. Negative 2 times a negative 2 is 4, so I'll put a 4 here, minus 4 times AC. So 4 times A is 1, and 4 times C is negative 3 because C is negative 3. So this is A, 2 is B, and negative 3 is C, okay? Over 2A, which is 2 times 1. Okay, now what I do is x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4, well, no, hold on. 4 times 1 minus 4 times 1 is a negative 4. Negative 4 times a negative 3 is a positive 12. Because a negative times a negative equals a positive over 2, right? Then x equals 2 plus and minus 4 plus 12 is 16. So the square root of 16 over 2. So x equals 2 plus or minus 4 over 2. Then what we get is x equals 2 plus 4 over 2, which is 6 over 2, which is x equals 3. And then I do a negative 4, right? So x equals 2 minus 4 over 2. X equals negative 2 over 2. X equals a negative 1. So my two answers are x equals 3 and x equals negative 1.